This is Phil Yaeger, and I own the Yaeger CPA Review course. I started this course back in 1974, 75, long time ago. And I've seen every type of question you could possibly see. I've gone over every possible topic you can see. But the question is, why did I decide to start my own course? Well, when I was studying for the exam, I did like everyone else did. I needed to find a course who would prepare me to take the CPA exam. Back then, there were only 2 courses, and I went to each of the courses, and I based my decision on who had the most students. And based on that, I took a course. That was a 6-month course. And I went Monday, Wednesday, Thursday night, 6 to 10, and Saturdays for half a day. Let me tell you, that was grueling, especially during the summer. But after I went through the course, at the end, I said to myself, all right, what is wrong with this course? And the answer is, I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I realized the gentleman who owned the course and was teaching it did not explain to me why I was doing anything. He just told me, well, for example, to calculate equivalent finished units, if you remember that from cost accounting, just add this to this to this, subtract that. I didn't understand why I was doing it, all right? And he said, don't worry about understanding why, just do that, and it works every time. Well, guess what? They gave me a question on equivalent finished units. Big problem. And I didn't know why I was adding this to this and subtracting that. I just knew, he said to me, just follow this formula, it always works. It didn't always work. So I thought to myself, I know once I pass the exam, I can give a better course than that. Well, interestingly enough, after I passed the exam, all right, I went to the Journal of Accountancy, and there was an ad. And the ad said, are you interested in owning a franchise in CPA Review? Contact me. Well, I contacted this company, whose name I'm not going to mention, all right? And I flew up to where they were, and I said, well, what makes you better? And the gentleman said, we have the best materials, and our philosophy is you must understand what you're doing. We're going to teach you to understand, not memorize. And actually, since then, that has been my philosophy. My philosophy is this. If you understand what you are doing, all right, you don't have to memorize everything. It's very hard to memorize everything, all right? Understanding is the best way. That's really called critical thinking. If you understand what you're doing, you can apply it to any area that they hit you with on the exam. Now, when I studied for the exam was only given in May or November. And they did not say, hey, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that, all right? So I had to take this guy's notes who I was using, all right? And I had to decide, because I was taking all 4 parts, either in May, November, all right? And that's what we had to do. We couldn't take 1 part at a time. So I had to figure out, I have until this date from today, until the exam is given maybe in May, wherever I was gonna take it, November, and I had to allocate my time amongst the 4 subjects for studying. But the AICPA at that time did not give, they weren't specific on certain things. For example, I had to study for taxation. They told us, make sure you know the requirements to be an S Corp, what's the requirements to be a C Corp, but they didn't tell us what those were. So what I did was, I had to go to some of my old textbooks. I even used some of the notes from the course I took, but they didn't spell it out. Well, that's been all changed. Why? Because 5 years ago, the AICPA did something very helpful for the candidates. They started with the AICPA copyrighted blueprints. Now, what are the AICPA copyrighted blueprints? They give you the task you have to know to pass the exam. And if the task is not on this list of blueprints, they're not going to test it. So they only test on the exam what's on the blueprints. Nothing more, nothing less. For example, one of the areas, right? Well, it used to be, they say, make sure you know how to prepare a statement of cash flow. Not very specific. But now, if you look at the blueprint, it says, make sure you know how to do a statement of cash flow using the indirect and the direct method, and also all the disclosures. That's all you have to know about the cash flow. All right? God, they can't spell it out any better. And we started writing our own books at the time the blueprints came out. And we figured that everyone else would do the same thing. But interestingly enough, we were the only course that created a new textbook and integrated the new blueprints in the notes. We explained every blueprint. We explained the concept. We explained why you're doing certain things instead of just adding this, subtracting that. And people would say, you know, Phil, I like your method of teaching. I understand what I'm doing, all right? I don't have to memorize. And when I heard that, boy, I felt good. I knew we were doing the right thing. However, guess what? No one else, all right, put the blueprints integrated in their text, all right? Today, a lot of them just take the blueprints, they go to the Yaeger CPA website, and they copy the blueprints, and they put it in the back of their text. That is not explaining them or integrating them within their notes. And remember, just remember this point, it's very important. I went to a meeting of the Yaeger CPA, all right? And the director of examinations, all right, was asked, and I raised my hand, I said, Bill, that's his name. I said, Bill, what do you do when people call you and ask you what's on the exam? And he says, I just tell them this, study the blueprints, right? Because they can't ask you more or less that's in there. And of course, they're not going to test on every blueprint on every exam. But if you can explain each blueprint to me or someone else, then you know that material, all right? And I believe you have to understand, you don't memorize. You don't do thousands of multiple choice questions, as a lot of courses recommend. The key thing is this, make sure you understand what's in that blueprint. Say to yourself, if I had to, could I explain that to Phil? And you know what? If you can explain those, then you are ready to take the exam. You say to yourself, well, that just sounds too easy. Well, it is. And you know what's interesting? Students call me up from other courses. They've taken other courses, all right? And I'll say to them, when they tell me they failed, I'll say, did you study the blueprints? I've had last week at least 2 people who took another course say, what are the blueprints? Well, if they said that, all right, and they failed, I asked them this. If the course you took did not know or not mention the blueprints, first of all, I had to explain to them what the blueprints were. But, all right, if the course did not go over the blueprints, whose fault was it that you did not pass? Well, some of them said it was my fault. I didn't study enough, all right? Or did they say, maybe I studied the wrong material? No, because I told them they studied the wrong material. They didn't study the blueprints. And you know, when you tell that to people and you say, hey, you never went over the blueprints, all right, then you're not going to pass the exam. Or it's going to be a lot harder to pass the exam. A lot of them, all right, they can't believe that the course they bought, which is, you know, the most expensive and they consider the best course, all right, doesn't talk about the blueprints. And if they didn't talk about them, the student said, how was I supposed to know them? Well, what you should do is, if you're actually looking to a course, the first thing I would do is this. I would look at any demos they have on their websites. I would look at some of their materials. When you look at the materials, see if they've integrated all the Yaeger CPA blueprints and they explain them. We give you demos on our website. Check out our demos. And if you like our demos, you're going to like the course. But if you don't understand everything I just explained, which might be understanding, it's a lot of material, all right, you can contact me. I believe when I sell you a course, that's not where our relationship ends. all right? You can call me. We have an instructor hotline, all right, where you can call me and ask me questions. And you know what? You can reach me generally 7 days a week. Now, if I'm not there, you leave a message, and I promise I will get back to you. And those are representations made by our competitors. Try calling their hotlines, all right? You're going to be talking to people probably who never even taught CPA review, or, all right, are people who've been, they never taught, period, all right? Ask them something about CPA exam. Chances are they can't answer it. I promise you, I can answer just about any question that's on the CPA exam. And I have another instructor who works for me, Ron Primoroso, and he is a person who answers all the areas that I do not teach. It's a good combination, I promise you, all right? If you look at a demo, all right, and you see how we teach, you'll say, this is the best course I've ever seen, all right? Let me call them up, because call me up. I want to talk to you for about 15 minutes, and I'll answer any questions you have. And my number, I'm going to give you my number right now. It's area code 301, all right? That's in Maryland, 874-4900, all right? If I'm not there, just leave a message, leave your name, phone number, area code, and I will call you back. I promise. You have my guarantee, all right? So take care. Make sure you treat this exam from a serious standpoint. Look into the different courses. Don't assume they're all the same, because they generally don't have the blueprints integrated in their books and materials. Thank you for listening, all right? I know if I was listening, I would say, that guy's a good-looking guy, and you know what? What he says makes sense. So anyway, I hope you feel the same way, and once again, please call me. Love to talk to you. Take care, and good luck with the CPA exam.
Thank you for watching. For more, visit YaegerCPAReview.com.